Okay, I'm Jay Roth. I'm president of Newtek's 3D division, and we make Lightwave 3D. At this show, we've announced and released Lightwave 9.5. It's the latest in the Lightwave 9 series. We started doing the Lightwave 9 series, about 3 or 4 years ago. And we've been really taking Lightwave and totally revamping it and upgrading it, adding a tremendous amount of new functionality to it, making it a lot more stable, a lot more production friendly, a lot faster, and creating even higher quality renderings and animations. So it's been quite a thrill ride for us, and we're finally to the point where we get to breathe a little bit. Yes, actually we have several really interesting features. We've really upgraded the character animation and character rigging tool sets primarily. It's now a lot easier to rig a character and assign inverse kinematics than it was in previous versions of Lightwave. And we've got some innovative little tools in there too, nice little things to help the rigger. So your rigs can actually be a little bit lighter weight than you might create in other applications because we've added things in there like soft IK, so it'll dampen the extension of the limb that's controlled by IK. As you get further out towards hyperextension, most IK solvers tend to snap that last little bit in place. So we have a little dampening attribute that lets you more naturally extend that. We've got the ability to do a single bone twist. So on a forearm, you might rig that with 3 or 4 bones to telegraph that roll across the mesh so that it deforms more cleanly. Well, we can do that in a single bone and get the same type of effect. And that means it's easier to rig and lighter weight to rig. We also have a built-in FK IK switch, makes that real easy. We've got a little script that'll assign your inverse kinematic chain and set up the pull vector for you and all that. Some nice things for riggers. Virtually all this is, I think, available through the scripting language as well, makes that easier. That's just the character stuff. Then we've got new hair and fur system set up, and that's basically making things hairier and furrier. What can you say about that? And except that it's fun to play with. And we also have a new lighting API with new photometrically accurate lights, real-world units, etc. And along with our energy-conserving materials, you got yourself a really good way to create reality on the system. When you couple that with our new GI features, the GI's received a complete overhaul in the last couple of years. We've been very aggressive with that. Now with global illumination, you have a new rendering cache, or new GI cache we call, and you basically can pre-cache out your GI work at a lower resolution if you want, or at your 1:1, and that generates a cache real quickly, and then you're set up for network rendering for your final. So you're looking at a few seconds a frame once all is said and done. Can you hear us? With the new global illumination system, which we've been putting a lot of work in the last couple of years, it's a lot faster, makes a lot higher quality images, and new on 9.5 in particular is what we call the radiosity cache, and that allows you to more effectively use radiosity over an animated sequence. What's interesting about this is the cache is really easy to set up, pretty much just a couple of clicks. It always works for you. It's very artist friendly, and it's fully animatable, so you can move and animate anything you want. Other applications can do that too, but it's definitely not as easy as ours. What's different about ours, actually, is ours is more of a luminance cache. So for example, you've done your initial GI cast pass, which takes just a few minutes, and then you decide, gee, I want to switch a texture map or go with a different color on this thing. I don't want to have to redo all that. Well, you can go ahead and switch out your colors or your texture maps. The cache is still valid. You can use that original cache you created, go ahead and do the rendering. It's still going to look just fine. So it's a really cool piece of tech there, and people are very excited about that. A couple of other features to help Lightwave play more nicely in the pipeline. We've got FBX import and export, and Collada import and export. And those things are pretty robust, and we've had a lot of really good feedback on that. And on a different plane, we've got a product called Lightwave Rendition for Adobe Photoshop. And Adobe Photoshop with the CS3 Extended introduced a 3D authoring tool set. It's very small, but it's there. And what Rendition does is it takes the world-famous Lightwave rendering software, and it allows you to use it directly from within Photoshop using the CS3E Extended 3D feature set. So you load in your 3D model. It comes from a variety of different places. Set it up the way you want it in Photoshop, and and render out, and you're done. And it uses the GI system directly in Photoshop, and you can use previously painted layers in Photoshop as your illumination sources, so you can really basically make sure your object is set right in your scene. And then, of course, because it's already in Photoshop as a layer, you can do whatever sort of additional Photoshop tricks you want to do after the fact, so you don't really have to stop there. It's more of a component in your workflow, and we found it's been very effective. For example, Louis Vuitton makes handbags, and they do all of their visualization for the catalogs in 3D, and quite often they're going with a bunch of different surfacing treatments and materials treatments for the same basic handbag shape. So what they're doing now is they take the handbag shape into the CS3 environment, and with pre-applied initial texture maps, and then they go ahead and do all their different map types and just render off those final catalog images using rendition from directly within Photoshop, and it's a really cool way to work. Well, you know, Lightwave has been around for a long time, and it's had its ups and downs, and we're really on an upswing. I think we're seeing a real good renaissance for Lightwave, and I think the future's very bright for the product. We've got a lot of exciting things coming that I unfortunately can't really talk about right now, but keep an eye on us, and I think you're going to like what you see.